Hello everyone, my name is Catalyst, and welcome to the How to Not Suck series, the grammatically incorrect series that teaches you how to play Battlefield. As you may know, we are going through every single specialist in the game before going to some more in-depth videos, going through each one, learning how to most optimally play them, and learn their quirks and tricks before suggesting loadouts for them. The previous episode was on Jisoo Paik, so if you have not seen that video or are interested in watching it, you can click the card in the top right hand corner of your screen if you are on desktop, or you can click the thumbnail at the end screen of this video. This video is going to be covering Dozer, probably the most requested specialist for the series, and with good reason, because after playing with Dozer for a few days to learn him for this video, I never ever want to play this specialist again. Playing Dozer could honestly be a substitute for jail time in the United States, and it's a masochist dream, but I'm getting a little bit off track here. Dozer was another one of those specialists that we had a lot of questions about heading into the launch of the game, with a Call of Duty-esque riot shield being his main ability. But in actual practice, Dozer is extremely limited by the map design and the core gameplay loop of 2042. In today's video, we will go over how his ballistic shield works, when the best places to use them are, and how to best utilize him on the battlefield. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get to work. So I've talked about this before on the series, but with these videos, I really try not to lean too heavily into the how good or bad a certain specialist is, because at the end of the day, that's just my opinion, and this is how to not suck at said specialist, not what is Catalyst's opinion on said specialist. Of course, I rank the specialist at the end of every video for more big picture context, but other than that, mostly I'll say what I think about the specialist and then get into how I think you should play them. For today's video on Dozer, well, let's just say that he is a highly requested specialist for a reason, and if I had to guess, it's because a fair majority of you consider him to be one of, if not the worst specialist in the game. Like I said, I normally try to stick to the teaching and leave my personal feelings out of it, but for today's video, it's going to be a little hard for me to do so. The real problem with Dozer is that he is a gimmick that actively pushes against Battlefield's core gameplay design. He's a Call of Duty character that was seemingly kidnapped and then dropped into a Battlefield game where his ability is just not as effective because there is so much more going on around you as a player and so many more angles to cover. This isn't 6v6 Call of Duty where everything is a tight lane that you can focus on. It's Battlefield where you can and will get shot from anywhere. And in Battlefield 2042, in which you have wide open large maps and a lot of players on top of the typical Battlefield game design, it's really not that hard to see why he is so handicapped by his ability, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Dozer's main ability is his ballistic shield that blocks enemy bullets and can reflect them back at enemies in some instances. This is partnered with Dozer's passive ability that grants him increased resistance to explosive damage. The shield is a one-hit kill if you can get close enough to your enemies, but the hitbox is a little bit buggy with him, so be careful. The shield covers Dozer's torso, but leaves his lower legs and feet exposed if you are not crouching with him, which, depending on how far away you are from the target that you are rushing with his shield, should not be too much of a problem up close. While using Dozer's shield, you are given two negative effects to balance the protection that you receive. Firstly, your turning radius is significantly reduced and your movement speed is also decreased slightly. Out of the two, the turn radius cap is more significant. I had to really fling my mouse around on my mousepad to keep up with players that were running past me in some instances. From what I can tell, the deflection mechanic of the shield doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason. It seems to be completely RNG based. There is no specific angle that you have to get to deflect bullets right back at enemies, even though I have been able to get kills with that from time to time. There really isn't anything too complicated or quirky about the shield, it's fairly straightforward, so we can go straight into how best to use Dozer and what some balances and counters are for him. The best way to use Dozer, in my opinion, is to use him for information primarily, similar to how you would use Irish's shield for information. In that episode of the How to Not Suck series, we talked about using Irish's deployable shield to create extensions of head glitches and using it to be able to peek corners more safely, and that's the same mentality that you should apply to Dozer here and his shield. It's extremely useful for you to peek around a hot corner with Dozer's shield to see what type of threat you are facing and relaying it to your squad mates if you are communicating with one another. There are rare occasions in which Dozer's shield will save you from death when you are overextended or get in trouble, or if you're crossing an open area and get caught out in the open. So if you are getting shot at, you can quickly identify which direction you are getting shot from, face that way with your shield, and then continue towards the closest spot of cover on the map. It's important that you turn your body to where you are getting shot at before you deploy the shield, as opposed to vice versa, because if you deploy the shield and then try to turn, you're gonna get screwed over by that bad turn cap radius. A habit that I quickly developed into while playing Dozer is instantly deploying my shield as soon as I win a 1v1 gunfight, especially when playing Breakthrough. The old adage in almost every FPS game is that if there was one player, there is probably more players, so I found it really beneficial to pop my shield for a few seconds after winning a gunfight before moving along and regenerating my health. Now, when it comes to the situations that you will 100% run into when you play Dozer, first and foremost being when you and another player run up on each other and you pop your shield for safety, and you kind of find yourself in this weird Mexican standoff, here is what I'll say on the topic. Does using the shield increase your chances of survival? Yes, it does. I think depending on your gun skill, popping your shield as opposed to taking the gunfight straight up is probably the smarter play. But far too often after winning one of those shield standoffs, I was saying to myself, you know, I probably could have just shot him and gotten the same result. And there were also times in which I committed to the standoff just to get shot in the back or the side because I took too much time to try to kill him with my shield as opposed to just shooting him with whatever weapon I was using, which was primarily an SMG or shotgun, in which I likely would have won anyways given the range of my weapons. The only gun I frequently lost to was the K30, in which that gun is designed for that range anyway, so I can't really get upset or complain. And that brings up my biggest issue with Dozer, is that his ability feels absolutely useless to me about 90% of the time because of how it's been balanced by dice. The slow movement speed and the turning radius speed cap absolutely nukes the specialist into the ground, and I felt like my performance in-game was due to me being an experienced Battlefield player and not because I was using his ability well. When you get into those standoff situations, your success relies on three things: circumstance, positioning, and how intelligent your opponent is. If you happen to be locked in a tight space with an opponent, like somebody locked in a cage with a lion, by all means rush your opponent, you'll likely win every time, but outside of close quarters, it becomes a lot more dependent on how well your opponent handles the stress of meeting a Dozer with the shield in the wild, and you'll tell quite quickly how intelligent that player is. Inexperienced or panicky players will either try to shoot you, in which case you wait for them to expend all of their ammo before pulling out your gun and killing them, or they will see you, get scared, and run away, in which you'll just pull out your gun and shoot them in the back. Or in some rare cases, you'll get that idiot that tries to rush you. Smart players in this situation will simply just jump or run around you and shoot you in the side. That's all it really takes to defeat Dozer because his turning radius is so damn slow. There are times in which I won simply based on pulling down my shield and shooting my opponent because he didn't have a fast reaction time, but that is a very dangerous game to play and I wouldn't really recommend it. The ultimate counter to Dozer is an incendiary grenade. If somebody throws an incendiary grenade at your feet, you are basically dead while playing Dozer because you either A, die in the fire, or B, lower your shield to run away and get shot in the back. It's that easy to deal with a Dozer, and if you're playing Dozer, it can be really frustrating because your success doesn't come from how well you play the specialist, it comes down to, again, how intelligent your opponents are. And I found more success in just playing Dozer as if his shield did not exist unless I needed to peek for information, or I just got out of a gunfight and needed to replenish health. Every other situation I tried to use my shield as advertised, I felt like it got me killed almost instantly. And I personally hate the feeling that the key to my success doesn't come from how I play, it comes down to whether or not my opponent is stupid enough to push a guy with a big shield. And that's before you take into account the fact that there are so many players that you need to account for in this battlefield, in these 128 player modes, and even on the lower count game modes on Breakthrough. And since there is no voice chat in 2042, you can't coordinate pushes easily with teammates. Theoretically, Dozer would be the perfect entry man, but the inability to communicate with teammates and and the collision detection being so bad in the game makes it difficult to do this. That entire rant right there really kind of encapsulates how I feel about Dozer and why I'm so underwhelmed by him. Using his ability makes him a sitting duck if he is not in close quarters, and even then, if you are not in a 1v1 or you are squaring up against an intelligent player, your odds of succeeding are not good, and you'd be better off just taking the chance of winning the gunfight. And for someone that becomes such a big target on the battlefield, I mean, you are literally a dude with a gigantic shield, it becomes very difficult to use self-sustain gadgets on him, because using the med pen and the med crate require you to drop your shield, and once you have people's attention, that's going to be very difficult for you to do successfully. So to wrap a shiny bow around the subject, the best way to play Dozer is to either A, not play him at all, I know that's a bit of a meme answer, or B, for those that are masochist or are trying to get him to tier 1, use the shield for information and self-sustain after winning gunfights. Only pull out your shield for pushes when you absolutely need to prevent yourself from death in the open, or when you are surprised by enemies, or of course when you're entering doorways. In those 1v1 standoff situations, you need to keep opponents in front of you if at all possible, and play off the fact that you know they're going to try and get around you if they are smart players. Otherwise, just wait for them to run, challenge their reaction time, or wait for them to run out of ammo. So with that all being said, what is the best loadout for Dozer? I think Dozer's strongest loadout is an SMG outfitted for close quarters combat, so something like a PBX with close combat rounds, a K30 or MP9, or a shotgun for a quick time to kill when you are in standoffs with Dozer. You can just drop your shield, one pump them with the shotgun, and then run away. I would also run a frag grenade to help Dozer clear rooms along with C5. You obviously have the anti-armor capabilities while using the C5, but using the C5 is also a failsafe to use if you run into a room full of enemies. You can back yourself out of the room, throw a C5, and get a kill or two. One of the more underrated aspects to Dozer that I didn't really mention earlier is the fact that when people see you, they can't really divert their attention away from you, so you do have that presence of mind in your opponent's head when you are playing Dozer. As always, I suggest other compatible specialists to run along with this specialist if you are in a squad together. For Dozer, I suggest Pake, Casper, and Falk. For reasons we discussed last episode when talking about Pake, comboing Pake's EMG scanner ability and using Dozer to enter rooms is a great effective combo. Casper, for the same reasons, can alert Dozer to enemies nearby with his motion detection suit, and Dozer can preemptively pop his shield to protect himself and his teammates, and Falk in this situation is purely used to be the pocket medic for a reckless Dozer, since he can't really take time to heal himself with personal gadgets. As for where I would rank Dozer, this may come as an absolute shock to you. No, I mean really, a total shock. You won't see this coming. But I would rank him as the worst specialist in both Conquest and in Breakthrough. The design and gameplay loop of Battlefield 2042's maps and combat just completely overwhelmed Dozer, and that is before the balancing decisions DICE has implemented to balance his shield, which end up severely handicapping him. You should absolutely stay away from using the specialist unless you are a skilled infantry player, a masochist, or you are a completionist trying to get him to tier 1. That's the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found this video useful and enjoyed your time here. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and leave a comment. If you made it to the end of the video, it helps me tremendously in the algorithm. If you enjoyed it just that much, you should consider subscribing. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers, and I will be making tons of 2042 content and guides like this one moving forward. I stream 4 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday on my Twitch at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I haven't streamed consistently in a while, but it's really hard to play this game on stream, to be honest with you. Once again, thank you all for watching. My name is Catalyst, and I will see you all another time.